All right. So let's start, and if folks join us, so we'll just say hello, maybe say what's in your cup, and then just call the next person who has not introduced themselves. So welcome, I'm Margaret Atkinson, Director of Development here at Winston Prouty. Water is in my cup, though I had many cups of coffee before this. And how about you and Roger? Introduce yourselves next.
All right, I'm Ann Albee. I'm on the board. I've got coffee, which is about my third.
And Roger, I've got coffee too.
All right. Next, how about Elizabeth?
Okay, I'm Elizabeth Christie, and I have your tea in my mug, and I'm still finishing my cereal because I overslept this morning. And I'm going to call on Fred.
I'm Fred Brunig. I don't have a cup. I finished breakfast a little while ago. And I'll call on Cal, my friend Cal.
Hi, I'm Cal, and I don't have my cup. I finished my breakfast, but this afternoon I will have my tea. Thank you for the tea. And I'll call on Sarah.
Good morning, I'm Sarah DiNicola. I'm the communications coordinator at Winston Prouty. Usually I have coffee, but I didn't like how the coffee was tasting this morning. I had some cheap coffee, so I have tea today.
And I'll just take over right here and call on Evon to introduce herself, and then La-Shaudna, and we'll go from there.
Hi, I'm Evon. I am a family supportive housing coordinator. I ran out of the house and did not have coffee today or breakfast, winging it. So I guess I'm just going to be drinking my seltzer that I had on my desk. And La-Shaudna.
Hello, I'm La-Shaudna Alley. I do not have, I'm a family supportive housing coordinator. I'm not drinking anything. I'm a little bit behind today on breakfast and coffee, so I will get those things when I'm done with this meeting.
And someone just joined us on the phone, 2326. Just tell us who you are and what's in your mug this morning.
Hi, this is Liz Harrison. I'm not able to get in through the web because Safari won't let me in, but so I'll be here for about 20 minutes before I have another Zoom class.
And Liz is also a member of our board. So thanks for joining us. This session just is grown out of last year, but in pre-pandemic time, we were having, quarterly donor breakfasts and program updates. We think it's just a great way for folks to learn more about what we do in the community and to spread the word. And so we figured we would try it in this socially distanced way again, because I think that, we are still doing a lot of work in the community, and we really want folks to know about it. So today, our two speakers are La-Shaudna Alley and Evon Valentine, who are working in the Family Supportive Housing Program. We are one of 7 agencies in the state that are working with the Office of Economic Opportunity to host this program to help parenting families reach housing and economic stability. So take it away, La-Shaudna and Evon. They're going to tell us all about what they do.
I actually created a little PowerPoint, so it was a little bit easier for everyone to follow along. So I can go ahead and share my screen here in a second. Give me a moment. Work here. Can everybody see the slide? All right, okay. So the Family Supportive Housing Program was created by the Agency of Human Services to reduce the incidence and duration of child homelessness in Vermont. Each family works with a family supportive housing coordinator to address obstacles or challenges regarding housing needs, acquire stable housing, and provide support services to maintain supportive housing. The Family Supportive Housing Program has been since its inception, July 2013. See, a lot of the things that we do is intensive-based case management in the home. We work with roughly 24 families. We identify needs and help them establish goals around mental health, reunification with their children, employment, education, childcare, budgeting, transportation, and housing. We form partnerships with local affordable housing programs and private landlords to help participating families access stable housing. We support families around financial empowerment to ensure families maximize their employment earnings and sustain the progress they've made towards sustainability. We offer monetary incentives when folks save for long periods of time. When they achieve mini financial goals, they can also earn $50 up to 3 different times. We also offer support around landlord-tenant mediation and appeals assistance for subsidized housing programs. Eligibility applicants must be homeless families with minor children, staying in a local emergency shelter or domestic violence shelter or state-funded motel. A lot of times we see folks that are just about to be homeless. I think there's like a 14 days until they're about to be absolutely homeless that will take folks. Parents have to want to engage in the program. There's prioritization for families that have multiple shelter stays. Families with DCF services involved, and children under 6. This is a collection of the agencies that we collaborate with on a regular. There's quite a few agencies that aren't listed here. We also work with Department of Labor, Vermont Adult Learning, some of the other child care programs that are local. And I will actually let Evon explain this program. She is the mastermind behind this lovely Welcome Home program. And this is a little bit of a slideshow of what I was able to put together in a short period of time. Evon, take it away.
Okay, so I came up with this idea from just seeing families once they're housed living in an empty apartment, and just feeling really low about themselves. I need to back up. This was not my idea. I found it over in Chicago. A nonprofit was also doing this, so I just tweaked it a little bit to work with our families. And what it was before the pandemic was receiving donations from people in town or certain businesses around town of furniture, household items to help families make their house a home. Now during the pandemic, we are trying to switch gears a little bit because you can't really do that. And we are turning it more into a fund, and and soon we'll be hopefully putting some kind of GoFundMe out, I'm thinking of. So anyway, during the pandemic, we have helped families with mattresses, partnering with mattress firm, helping them make their house a home. Yeah.
And let's see, we have, I think one of the last bits is a success story that we have. This is actually a success story of Evon, so I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that for a second, or did you just want me to go right ahead and dive in?
Oh, I think are you frozen?
Oh, am I frozen?
No, you're both.
Oh, we're good. Okay. So this is a success story of one of Evon's clients, one that we recently submitted for our quarterly report. This is a success story of a mom who was struggling with housing, employment. Her child was taken into custody. She had recently left an abusive relationship, and she started working with Family Supportive Housing in March of last year. She lived in a local motel for a period of time. and her and her family supportive housing coordinator work together to complete housing applications for subsidized housing and multiple voucher applications. Basically, mom was able to get into an apartment with Wyndham Windsor Housing after a lot of advocacy from the family supportive housing coordinator. The mom is doing well, although she does not have any income. Mom is gearing up to have her child back in her home next month. So that is really great news. She's housed. Her family supportive housing coordinator helped get her some internet services for telehealth services, furniture, winter gear, Christmas presents, a lot of stuff to help get this mom set up and ready to go. And she's in a much better place now than she was a few months ago. Any questions?
So yeah, I was gonna say, could you expand a little bit more about on the financial advice and the savings incentives? Because those are a very interesting part of the program, and I think speaks to how it's designed to have some, folks be sustainable in their success over time.
Yep. So we offer the Family Supportive Housing Savings Program, and what that is an incentive to save long term. So folks can open the savings account with $10 and get an incentive of $30 for just opening the account. Right? Is it 30, Evon, or is it 60?
60.
60. Okay, so $60. And so then they receive a $30 incentive every month that they save after that. And then after 6 months of saving, they'll receive an additional bonus of $50. And that can happen twice over the 2 years that they're in the program. They can earn up to $850 if they save consecutive throughout the entire 2 years. So it's a huge bonus for folks. Unfortunately, there is a good number of families that don't utilize it. We do a lot of promoting of it and explaining how beneficial it is. We've had quite a few folks in the past that have utilized it and have been able to leave the program with a big sum of money to be able to purchase a car, down payment on an apartment, be able to buy some furniture, et cetera, et cetera. There's also the mini goals that we have for folks. They can set a financial goal. Say they want to save all of their receipts for the month of February to see where their money is actually going. And then at their monthly meeting, they can present those receipts to their family supportive housing coordinator. They go over them. They can have a discussion, and at that point, they can earn that $50 for saving all of those receipts. And you can get really creative with those incentives as well. So it gives us a little bit of a buy-in for folks that are having a hard time. Am I missing anything?
That's great. No.
Excellent.
Cal, sure.
I'm wondering, could you give us a number of how many people you have helped, let's say, in the last year through this program?
I believe it is 47. I was looking at the Winston Prouty report last night, and I was actually going to post a bunch of pie charts, but I didn't have enough time. So I think it's about 47 in the past year, 47 families.
Wow.
That's 47 families with multiple children. So it's, I think it's over. I do a lot of the grant reports. So I think it's
5 children.
It's like 55 children under 18, but a lot of them are under 6. And then, about 46 families. Which I don't know that our community knows that there's 46 families with children who are like struggling with housing on such a long-term basis.
Yeah.
And we've been able to house folks, remotely and, during this crazy pandemic, which has been really amazing. It's been a challenge, especially when you're not able to meet with a client to see an apartment or meet with them face to face. But, I think that a lot of our families are resilient and we can meet them where they're at. And a lot of folks don't want to meet in person and they're willing to just do a phone call, a Zoom meeting, and we've been able to get things done.
Elizabeth. Sound.
Once you've gotten them housed and they have some basic furniture and things like that, is there any further support that happens to them, or are they on their own to keep going?
Yep. Evon, did you want to answer this or did you want me to take it away?
Sure. I'll take it away. We, depending on like how they were housed with certain housing vouchers, they require 1-year case management. So usually we are there with them for at least a year working on their goals, whether it's continued housing support, working on their mental health, transportation, childcare, whatever type of goals that they have that they need to further succeed down the line.
Can you talk a little bit more about the connection with the success of children and how families are doing in this program? Meeting, health goal, things like that.
So families that engage in the Family Supportive Housing Program or are more likely to meet their children's health and wellness needs. I wish I put that pie chart in there. It's harder for me to explain it, but I would say most, if not all of our families have children that have their health and wellness needs completely up to date. Their immunizations are up to date and all of their doctor's appointments, et cetera. And I think currently right now we have 20 families in the program currently right now, which is a little bit low for us. And we have 17 folks that are stably housed, 2 families that are homeless. And right now we have folks that are doing pretty good despite the pandemic, pretty good. And a lot of folks are taking advice around, making sure they get checked with doctors, all that good stuff. Not as many families are as diligent about wearing masks, but we provide them.
Sure, Elizabeth.
When it comes to mental health issues, are you guys the mental health therapists, or are there people that you refer them to, or what happens there?
We always refer out. We're not therapists. We can work with therapists closely to help support a family, but we always will refer out.
Okay.
Though I would say La-Shaudna and Evon, it's a very intense job that they have. I mean, I just been hearing some of the stories of, they work really hard and, and they have lots of skills. I think are sometimes hard to come by, and having to, support people who, are in various stages of struggle. And so they do amazing work, and they're really creative. The Welcome Home program has been, I think, it's been very interesting from my side in trying to find funding and stuff for it. It's amazing what a very small amount of money can do to help somebody's life better. Like Evon was working with a gal who didn't really have anything to cook. She didn't have any pots to cook her food in. She didn't have a coffee maker, and she was going out and spending money buying, Dunkin' Donuts every morning, and then was having a hard time savings. And it was like, gee, if we spend $25 on a coffee pot, like suddenly, there's more space in her budget for other things that she needed. So it's like, this is one of these programs where like some really key elements applied at the right moment can really help a family move forward. And we've seen that in other things with things around assistance with like transportation where, you know, somebody doesn't have a bus pass, but the purchase of a monthly bus pass will allow someone to like make it to all their appointments at DCF so they can visit their child, so they can make a step towards reunification. So I think those of us who are, you know, in this community who don't have those kinds of resource barriers don't understand that like not having an extra $6 a week, it can be a matter of life and death for people. So this is a very interesting and effective program and I think it's just because they work so well with these folks meeting their needs. So I know I don't need to convince you, but there's like some really compelling stories here. Kat.
So speaking of that, so you don't, I guess you're, because you have this fund, you don't want to accept donations of things from people? Is that just too cumbersome? I mean, I know somebody who's asked me to take her to the dump with all the stuff that she had in her house for her grandchildren. And I'm like, what? You can't just throw that in the dump. I mean, these are toys and potty chairs. And I mean, and she's also having her kitchen redone. So she has all these pots and pans. I mean, she has so much stuff. But I guess it gets to be too cumbersome. Is that why you don't want to do that?
So right now we don't really have the space to store a lot of things. And so if, yes, people do come to me and say, hey, I have these pots and pans. If we know somebody right in the moment that needs it, then we make that connection. But
okay.
I also don't want to say no to whatever you have. So there's that struggle, you know. Send you my email address. We can connect after.
Evon at winstonprouty.org. But what, before the pandemic, we had an idea of sort of converting some space here on campus to sort of like to almost like a shop so that we could have some space and a place for people to come where if, you know, there was things that they needed, they could, you know, basically shop for them among our stock. What happens though is that, it's the pandemic adds a layer of complication and you know, and health risk to both us and to, you know, other people. And, you know, so one of the ways that we can, you know, mitigate this is that we'll do things like we'll have a store credit at Experience Goods. Or, you know, we work with Mattress Firm, you know, to get discount mattresses. And so that when, you know, everybody has different needs. So in the moment they can come, you know, there's ways where they can get exactly what they need in a way that is not too costly to them. And, you know, and it does also, you know, partner with other places. So in the past, though, we have, you know, Evon has had furniture in the back of her little car driving around town and stuff like this. And so, you know, there's always a discussion, but in the end, we don't want to end up being like a used housewares warehouse because it's too difficult right now. But that doesn't mean that later on that won't change.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to look at things at the dump and go, somebody could use that, but you know, when the swap starts happening again, my hope is, you know, people can be successful there too. But you can always email Evon or La-Shaudna. Will, you know, there's always a discussion.
I actually I have coffee pots in my office just in case, you know. Any nook and cranny in the office, I put something because you never know.
You want to talk about the welcome home baskets, like what's in those? That's yeah.
Okay. So we have a welcome home basket. It's either a garbage can or a laundry basket that we fill up with various cleaning products, sponges, toilet paper, paper towels. I do not have the list in front of me, so I'm going off the cuff. A toilet brush, anything to get them started. Because usually I I don't know why this happens, but usually people move into apartments on Fridays and they have the whole weekend to just be in their apartment with nothing. So I try to just drop like this care package off to them and get them started. Yeah. What else? Can you think of what else is in there, La-Shaudna? Safety first aid kits is a good one, and the little outlet plugs for to baby proof their apartment too. And we have extra some other things. Sorry, I told you to start talking and I continued. La-Shaudna, sorry. But we can customize the baskets to whatever the family needs. Sometimes we put in books and little stuffed animals too.
I think that a lot of times we just talk with the family and see what they need for a few days, and we just like stick everything in a box as much as we possibly can fit in our car or in a big box, and we drop it off, and just to give them a few days, you know, a little starter box.
Yeah.
And
Where do you get the funds for those boxes?
so some of it, a lot of it comes from fundraising. So we have gotten grants from the Ben and Jerry's Foundation, from the small foundations from the Vermont Community Foundation. So the Cosby Gannett and the Dunham Mason. One of the banks, People's United Bank Foundation. So it's been, and then we have a couple of donors who donate to what we call the CBS fund, which is basically a fund that we set aside to do things like make welcome home baskets. We also provide other kinds of emergency supports for families, so like diapers. And now we're getting an amazing supply of things like diapers from the Vermont Diaper Bank, which has also freed up more CBS funds. So there is a couple, it's like a couple $1,000s that, just helps, with these kinds of things. The financial incentives, and those are part of the statewide program. So some of these other kind of things that are around supporting folks in their savings and their financial literacy, though that's part of the state funding of the program.
And our baskets cost about $25 to $30 per family with all the items that are in there.
Yeah, depending on, yeah.
Are any of the Corona release funds coming your way?
Oh yeah.
So we were very fortunate in, so Prouty has gotten a variety of coronavirus relief funds for, because we have a child care, and we got PPE funding, and we've been really fortunate. For this program, one of the things that happened was there were funds from the Department of Health that had been granted to another agency, and they weren't able to spend them in time because a lot of these funds needed to be expended by December 30th of last year. And so we had also applied for some of these Department of Health funds for these very things, these health and safety things, and we were denied, but they sort of made the connection with the other agency, and that other agency gave their leftover money to us. So then we were able to, definitely do a lot of welcome home baskets. We were able to provide warm clothing for folks who didn't have it, especially adults. There's the kids in coats and some of these other programs, but we had adults who didn't have winter coats. And so we were able to do that. And what else did we buy with that? A lot of smoke alarms and, also, and
winter boots as well, which was a very big need. A lot of my clients were wearing flip-flops and socks.
Yeah.
Winter gear in general for adults. It's easier to find for children. It's a lot of hand-me-downs, but harder for adults.
We got a lot of cleaning supplies too, because
a lot of cleaning supplies
to help families stay cleaning their apartments and sanitizing hands and things like that.
And cleaning supplies are hard to, depending on when you go to the store, there's either some there or there's not. So it's so that was it was about $5,000, and that really just really helped a lot of families in a time when, because winter boots are expensive. They're what, $100 a pair, really. So, and that's a big expense for people. So.
We also got some vacuums and more baby proofing.
Well, my association with Winston Prouty Center goes back to 1983 when my daughter Catherine was born with Down syndrome, and of course back then it was pretty much just for children with special needs, and I've just been thrilled to see the organization adapt itself to changing times and needs, and recently, the last year or so, I've been working with Vermont Interfaith Action as a volunteer, and specifically in the Affordable Housing and Homelessness organizing committee. So I think I've seen Evon and La-Shaudna on some COC meetings, but it's terrific to have you folks, right there on the ground helping families. It's wonderful to see.
Thank you. I was trying to figure out where I knew you from. Thank you for putting that together.
Anything else? Sure, Kat.
Well, this isn't about that program, but last year when I went to a breakfast at Winston Prouty, we had a presentation about the little library that travels around. And I wondered during the pandemic, what has happened and how have you dealt with that? I love that whole thing. Yeah. And I think about it every once in a while, what's happening?
So the bookmobile, so there was a period of time, this is good because I was going to end with this anyway. So that was an excellent session. So, yes, the program's still running. From March to about June, it was like we were all home, and what happened was Swenyo spent a lot of time putting her story times on video. So she would read a story, she would do the things that she would do for the bookmobile, and then we put them up on YouTube and sent them to programs who have hosted her and parents, and so they have gotten a lot of views. What's great about that is that, on YouTube, Swenyo never gets tired of telling that same story over and over again. And if little kids who like to hear the same story over and over again, it's quite a bonus. And so it was interesting. Like, I know that the head of the Stratton Child Care said that the parents just loved the videos, So as programs opened up, Swenyo had looked into, the standards from the American Library Association about how to handle books and stuff. And we started doing outdoor bookmobile visits. So bringing the program, having it outside. And because some places were not comfortable having, or the rules wouldn't let you have visitors come to the program, they were kind of done as field trips. So she would go to, like in Brattleboro, she would park the bookmobile at the Common, and the kids from Center and Mulberry Bush would walk. They'd have a field trip where they would walk to the bookmobile and have a bookmobile thing. So it was outside, it was socially distanced, and it followed the rules because she wasn't going to the program, but she was program adjacent. And so, by the time we've opened for the fall, she's, been doing programming outside to folks who can accommodate that. Now that it's very cold, she's just doing a lot of book trading. So teachers will say what their theme is, or give a list of things that kids are interested in, and she will pick out a selection of books and deliver them weekly to the programs. We're still doing videos. The thing that has happened during the time is that the car that we use in the winter time, so the big bookmobile truck, is parked from November till March because it's not a good winter. It's not good to drive in the winter. So we had a 2004 Subaru that basically gave up the ghost in November. And so Swenyo has been using her personal car, but we have just started a campaign to raise money to replace that car. So because she needs it every day, and we need something that's safe and four-wheel drive. So that campaign is just launched on our Facebook, right, Sarah? I think yesterday. It's like a little GoFundMe campaign. We have a $10,000 goal, and we're looking to replace our old Subaru, and we'll see where we go. I mean, I think we're going to keep finding ways to provide the program. When the spring comes, the bookmobile truck will definitely be up in action, but it's, and that program is 100% paid for by philanthropy. So every year we have to raise about $65,000 a year to keep it going, but it really has a big impact on kids. It really helps knit the early childhood community together. And I think it definitely sets up kids with skills they need to learn to read. And that we're seeing, especially with school being so disrupted, it's going to be very important that very young children are reinforced in their literacy.
I'm sure you've been in touch with Subaru about
Oh.
donating a car, haven't you?
Yeah. So the donating a car thing, people think that that's like really easy, but it's not as easy as you think it is. We have a lot of tentacles out in the world, but nobody's just going to give us a car. But what we're trying to do is get enough of a stake where we can find a solution that's going to work well for us, either with a used vehicle or a lease, or it's like we're not like locked into any plan. We're going to be working with people to find the thing that works well for us, both financially and and long term. So program's going strong. If the videos are up on our YouTube channel. If you've got a grandchild who needs a story and you don't feel like it's, Swenyo is always there, and they're really great. So anything to add about that? So tell your friends, or if you know a little old lady who has a car with 38,000 miles on it and they're not driving anymore and they'd like a big tax write-off, call us. We have entertained several offers of used vehicles, and none of them have been quite what we were looking for. So that is also another avenue. So yes, Elizabeth.
I want to thank you for having this session today. I had no idea about the supporting housing work that you're doing, and Evon and La-Shaudna, thank you. A wonderful extension of the holistic concern for children and families that Prouty has. And, you've got a tough job. And I love your welcome home package.
Thank you.
I just want to add that I think there's so many people out there that don't realize all that goes on and the things and the effort that goes into these programs. And I think the more we can get it out, the better. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else? Well, thank you folks for coming. I don't know when our next one of these will be, but I'm assuming in the next quarter. So when you get the invitation, tell your friends how fun and great it is, because, and because I would love to see, I don't know, 100 little squares,
Although it's nice to have an intimate little gathering like this.
Yeah. Eventually we'll go back to having breakfast. We have a great new tenant on campus called A Bite to Eat, and they make excellent homemade bagels and pastries. So I'm looking forward to having a breakfast meeting, but not actually having to cook the breakfast. So it can happen someday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll let you all
Yeah.
go.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, see ya.